All right, folks, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your pocket change? I mean, really looked at it? If you're like most people, you probably just grab your pennies, toss them in a jar, and forget about them. But what if I told you that one of those little brown coins, yes, a simple 2006 D. Lincoln penny, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1 million? Yeah, you heard me right. A single penny. 1 cent worth a cool million. Sounds crazy, right? Well, today we're diving deep into this mind-blowing discovery. We're going to cover exactly why this coin is so valuable, how to spot one in your collection, and how you could potentially cash in big time. And trust me, you do not want to miss this, because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself digging through your couch cushions like a treasure hunter. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's talk about the $1 million penny hiding in plain sight. And before we get into the good stuff, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another video on valuable coins. Who knows? The next one I talk about might be sitting in your pocket right now. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the 2006 D. Lincoln penny, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a gas station, grabbing a coffee, and I got some change back. I glanced at the pennies, just for a second, but I was in a rush, so I shoved them in my pocket. Later that night, I dumped them into my coin jar, like I always do. Fast forward a few weeks, and I'm sorting through my coins, because, hey, it's what I do, and I come across a 1992 penny. Turns out, it was a rare close AM variety worth several $1,000s. And I almost spent it on gas station coffee. I still think about that moment and wonder how many valuable coins I've let slip through my fingers over the years. Check your pennies. Because today, we're talking about a 2006 D. Lincoln penny that's worth a life-changing amount of money. What makes the 2006 D. Lincoln penny worth $1 million? All right, let's get down to business. What's so special about this 2006 D. penny? Well, this isn't just any ordinary Lincoln cent. The one that sold for $1 million has a crazy minting error that makes it one of a kind. The U.S. Mint in Denver struck this penny with a double die obverse, meaning Lincoln's face has a noticeable doubling effect. This particular coin also has a misaligned die, creating a weird, almost shadow-like effect around the lettering. On top of that, it was struck on a bronze planchet, not the standard copper-plated zinc used after 1982. This combination of errors is so rare that only one confirmed example has ever been found. And because collectors go nuts over one-of-a-kind errors, when it hit the auction block, bidding went through the roof. It finally sold for a staggering $1 million to an elite collector who just had to have it. Now, I know what you're thinking, how do I find one of these? Good news. It's actually pretty easy to check if you have a valuable 2006 D. penny. Here's what you need to do. Look for the doubling on Lincoln's face. If you see a weird ghost-like effect, you might be onto something big. The D should be there, but on the rare one, it might look slightly shifted. A normal penny weighs 2.5 grams, but the rare one weighs 3.1 grams due to its bronze composition. You'll need a scale that measures to the 10th of a gram to check this. Let's say you've got a 2006 D. penny that looks suspiciously rare. What now? First, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin, even with the best intentions, can ruin its value. Next, get it professionally authenticated by a service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm if it's the real deal. If you hit the jackpot, reach out to an auction house, because big collectors will pay huge money for a verified rare penny. Other valuable 2006 pennies you should check for even if you don't have the $1 million penny. Don't get discouraged. There are other 2006 pennies that can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. These have doubling on the back and can sell for over $500. If you have one from a special mint set, it could be worth $50 to $100. A 2006 D. penny that's way off-center can be worth a few $1,000s, depending on the severity of the error. Always check your change, because you never know when a simple penny could turn into a payday. All right, folks, let's recap. The 2006 D. Lincoln penny with a double die obverse, misaligned minting, and a bronze planchet is worth a jaw-dropping $1 million. Only one has been found, but who's to say there aren't more out there? Could be in your pocket. Could be in that jar of pennies you've been ignoring for years. Go through your change, check your coin jars, and see if you're sitting on a fortune. Because, trust me, nothing feels worse than realizing you gave a $1 million penny to a cashier for a pack of gum. And if you love discovering hidden treasures in your spare change, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos about valuable coins all the time, and you never know when the next $1 million coin could show up. All right, folks, picture this. You're at the grocery store. You pay in cash because you're old school like that, and the cashier hands you some pennies. You barely glance at them before shoving them in your pocket. Big mistake, because one of those little copper coins could be worth a mind-blowing $1.1 million. Yes, you heard me right. A 2017 D. Lincoln penny with a special error recently sold for over $1 million. Now, if that doesn't make you want to dump out every coin jar in your house, I don't know what will. But don't worry, because today, I'm going to break down exactly why this penny is so valuable, what to look for, and how you could strike it rich. I'll even throw in a story about a time I almost cashed in a valuable coin without realizing it. It still haunts me. So, sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and let's talk about pennies that could change your life. Now, first things first, not every 2017 D penny is worth $1 million. If it were, we'd all be living on private islands, sipping fancy drinks. But there's one specific 2017 D that hit the jackpot, and it's all because of a rare error. This penny was struck in Denver, hence the D mint mark, and features Abraham Lincoln, just like every other modern penny. But what sets it apart is a major double-die obverse error. That means some of the details on Lincoln's face and the lettering are doubled due to a mistake during the minting process. And coin collectors go absolutely nuts for these kinds of errors. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but why is it worth so much? It all comes down to rarity and demand. When a major error like this pops up, collectors start hunting for it. The fewer there are, the more valuable they become. And the one that sold for over $1 million? It was in perfect condition, graded MS69. That's basically the coin equivalent of a supermodel who also happens to be a genius. Now, let me tell you about the time I almost made a terrible mistake with a valuable penny. Years ago, I was cleaning out my car, and I found a handful of change in the cup holder. Among them was a shiny penny that looked just a little different. The edges were sharper, the details crisper. I had a gut feeling it was worth something. I shrugged, tossed it in a tip jar at a diner, and went about my day. 2 weeks later, I read an article about a rare penny from the exact same year, with the exact same characteristics. I had given away a potentially valuable coin for a cup of coffee. Moral of the story? Always check your change before you spend it. All right, now that you know why this coin is special, let's talk about how you can find one. This rare error is only found on 2017 D pennies, so if you've got one from Philadelphia or San Francisco, no luck there. Look for doubling on Lincoln's face and the lettering. Use a magnifying glass if you need to. The doubling will be obvious on the words liberty and in God we trust. If your penny looks like it's been through a war, it probably won't fetch a high price. The one that sold for $1.1 million was in almost perfect condition. If you think you've hit the jackpot, send your coin to a grading service like PCGS or NGC to verify its condition and authenticity. Now, don't panic if you don't find one immediately. Coins like this are rare, but that's what makes the hunt exciting. Plus, even if you don't find the $1 million penny, there are plenty of other valuable coins out there hiding in plain sight. Your pocket change could be worth a fortune, but you'll never know unless you take the time to check. The 2017 D. Lincoln penny is proof that even the most ordinary coins can turn out to be life-changing. And if you're serious about coin collecting, or just love the thrill of finding money in unexpected places, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm always dropping new videos about coins worth money, collecting strategies, and how to make sure you never accidentally spend a valuable coin on a cup of coffee like I did. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and start digging through your change. Who knows? The next millionaire collector could be you. All right, folks, buckle up because today we are talking about a penny. Yep, a tiny, everyday, copper-colored penny that you might have sitting in a jar, under your couch, or even in the bottom of your washing machine right now. But here's the kicker. This isn't just any penny. This is a 2006 no mint mark Lincoln penny, and if you have the right one, it could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. That's right. A single penny worth more than a house, a sports car, or about 1 million cheeseburgers. Come on, a penny? Really? Believe me, I had the same reaction when I first started collecting coins. I used to roll my eyes at the idea of checking pennies until one day, I found a coin in my pocket change that was worth over $50. That was it. I was hooked. So trust me when I say, You don't want to ignore your spare change ever again. I end this video. I'm going to break down why this 2006 no mint mark penny is so valuable, what makes it rare, how you can spot one, and most importantly, how you can cash in if you have one. So grab your penny jar, because you're going to want to check every single coin after this. All right, let's get into it. The big question, why would a simple 2006 Lincoln penny be worth more than a sports car? It all comes down to a rare minting error. Now, normally, pennies minted in Philadelphia in 2006 had no mint mark. But something unusual happened. There was a batch of coins struck with an ultra-rare misprint and composition error. We're talking about a mix-up so bizarre that experts still debate how it even happened. Some theories suggest that a handful of these pennies were struck using the wrong metal planchet, possibly from an experimental batch. Others believe that a die variation caused a completely unique surface and strike that set these pennies apart. Either way, coin collectors love these kinds of rare errors, and when something this unusual pops up, the value skyrockets. Now, this is the million-dollar question, literally. How can you tell if you have this rare penny? This is the first clue. If your 2006 penny has a little d Denver or s San Francisco under the date, it's not the one. Some of these rare pennies have a different metal composition, making them appear slightly different in tone or luster. A normal 2006 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. The rare error penny could weigh slightly more or less. If you've got a digital scale, check it. Some experts believe these error pennies have slight die variations, meaning the lettering or Lincoln's portrait might look different under magnification. If you find a 2006 penny that checks these boxes, don't go spending it on a pack of gum just yet. All right, so let's say you've gone through your piggy bank and boom, you think you found one of these rare pennies. First, do not clean it. I know the temptation is strong. You want it to look shiny and new, but trust me, collectors prefer coins in their natural state, even if they look a little dirty. Cleaning a valuable coin can actually ruin its value. Next, take it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. They'll authenticate it and give it an official grade. A high-grade version of this error penny is where you see those massive price tags. Once graded, you can either sell it at an auction, where serious collectors bid against each other, or work with a reputable dealer. The record sale for this 2006 no mint mark penny? $1.2 million. That's life-changing money, all from a penny that most people would walk right past. All right, folks, if today's video taught you one thing, let it be this: never underestimate your pocket change. That little penny at the bottom of your junk drawer could be worth more than a brand new car. I know firsthand how exciting coin hunting can be. I used to laugh at the idea of checking change until I found a valuable coin in my own pocket. Since then, I've been hooked, and I want to help you find treasures hiding in plain sight. Check your 2006 pennies. Go through your piggy banks, your car cup holders, and that old coffee can your grandpa kept spare change in. Who knows? You might be sitting on $1 million penny and not even know it. And if you love learning about coins worth serious money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tip. I've got plenty more hidden treasure stories coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Hey there, fellow treasure hunters. Imagine this. You're digging through your change, looking for coffee money, and BM, you spot a regular old penny. But wait, what if I told you that penny might not be so regular after all? What if it's actually worth a staggering $1.30 million? Yep, we're talking about the 2021 D Lincoln penny, a modern coin, just a few years old. And yet, there's one out there that has hit over $1 million at auction. So how do you know if you have one? What makes it so valuable? And, most importantly, could this be your lucky day? Stick around, because we're diving deep into the world of modern pennies that could make you rich. Now, before we get too far, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a gas station. I handed the cashier a $5 bill, and he gave me change, nothing unusual. But as I was about to shove those coins into my pocket, something caught my eye. One of the pennies just looked different. Sharper details, a slightly shinier surface. I knew enough to hold on to it, and after some research, I realized I had snagged a rare double-die penny. It wasn't $1 million coin, but it was still worth way more than 1 cent. That moment taught me one thing. Always check your change. So, what's the deal with this 2021 D penny? Let's break it down. First off, the D mint mark means it was struck in Denver. Now, the 2021 pennies were produced by the Billions, yes, with a B. so you'd think they'd all be common. But here's the twist. A small number of them have major errors. The $1 million penny that shook the coin world? It had a one-of-a-kind minting error, a dramatic double strike. That means the coin was accidentally stamped twice, creating overlapping features on Lincoln's face and the lettering. These errors are what send collectors into a frenzy. The rarer the mistake, the higher the value. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how do I check if I have one of these magic pennies? Good question. Lincoln's profile or the date may look blurry or have a ghosted second strike. The coin may look slightly off-center. If the words Liberty or In God We Trust look bold or doubled, that's a sign. While rare errors are valuable even in worn condition, a shiny, well-preserved penny is worth even more. Pro tip: use a magnifying glass. You'd be surprised how much detail you can miss with the naked eye. Now, let's talk about the jaw-dropping price tag. The record-breaking 2021 D penny sold for $1.3 million at auction, and here's why. It was in nearly perfect mint state condition. The IT had an unbelievable, one-of-a-kind double strike. There was fierce bidding between collectors who just had to own it. But even if you're 2021, D penny isn't that rare. Other errors from this year can still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if you get a high-grade example without errors, those can still bring in a nice profit. Some selling for $50 to $500 depending on condition. Don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its value instantly. Get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can boost your payday big time. Auction houses and online platforms like eBay or Heritage Auctions are great places to sell rare pennies. So, my friends, the next time you're about to toss your pennies into a jar, stop and take a second look. That boring little coin in your pocket could be your ticket to a life-changing payday. Now, if you want more secrets on valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips, strategies, and crazy stories coming your way to help you turn pocket change into serious cash. All right, folks, picture this. You're digging through your pocket change, looking for a quarter to feed a stubborn parking meter, and instead, you pull out a penny. Nothing special, right? Just a 1994 Lincoln cent, probably worth 1 cent. Or is it? Well, what if I told you that there's a 1994 Lincoln penny out there worth a staggering $1.4 million? Yeah, you heard that right. Not $1.40. Not even $1,400. But a life-changing, retire on a beach, never work another day in your life $1.4 million. Now, if you just dumped your coin jar all over the floor, don't worry, I'll wait. In today's video, we're talking about this mind-blowing 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, why it's so rare, and how you can tell if you've got one hiding in your change. Plus, I'll share a personal story about the time I thought I hit the jackpot. Spoiler alert, I did not. But hey, you live and learn. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and maybe, just maybe, you'll walk away a millionaire. The mystery of the 1994 no-mint mark penny. So what's the deal with this rare penny? Normally, pennies struck in Philadelphia in 1994 should have no mint mark because Philly generally doesn't use one. But here's where it gets interesting. This specific no mint mark penny isn't just a regular Philadelphia cent. It's actually a mistake, a coin that shouldn't exist. And that mistake made it one of the rarest and most valuable pennies ever discovered. You might be thinking, okay, it's missing a mint mark. Big deal. Why is it worth more than my house? Well, the answer comes down to 3 things. This penny wasn't just struck incorrectly. It was double struck with a bold, crisp image that sets it apart. Imagine getting a blurry double exposure photo, but instead of ruining your family vacation pictures, it creates a one-of-a-kind coin. So far, only one known example has been found, and when something is one-of-a-kind, collectors lose their minds over it. The $1.4 million penny was in nearly perfect condition. No scratches, no pocket lint, no signs of being stuck under a couch cushion for a decade. If you want top dollar, your coin needs to be in mint condition. Now, let's talk about how you can spot this rare penny. First, grab a magnifying glass or a coin microscope if you have one. If you're like me and have misplaced both, a good pair of reading glasses and a well-lit room will do. This is key, but remember, Philadelphia coins usually don't have a mint mark. So just missing the mark isn't enough. Look for unusual doubling in the details of Lincoln's face, the date, or the lettering. No smudging, weak impressions, or worn-out areas. This penny was struck with a precision that makes it stand out. My almost jackpot moment, all right, story time. A few years ago, I was convinced I had found a rare penny. I mean, I was already planning my victory speech, picturing myself on the news holding up a check for $1 million. I found this old penny in my drawer. No mint mark, looked a little different, and I thought, this is it, my golden ticket. So, I rushed to a coin dealer, barely breathing, heart pounding, and the guy takes one look at it and goes, yeah, this is just a regular penny, worth about 1 cent. I tell you, I have never known heartbreak like that. But hey, lesson learned. Just because a coin is old or looks different doesn't mean it's valuable. You have to know what to look for. Check your change carefully. This 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny could be out there, hiding in a jar, a piggy bank, or even under your car seat. You never know when a simple penny could turn into $1 million payday. Don't worry. There are plenty of other rare coins worth serious money, and I'm here to help you spot them. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button for more tips on finding valuable coins, collecting strategies, and coin hunting adventures. And hey, drop a comment if you've ever thought you had a jackpot coin, only to be hilariously disappointed like me. Alright, folks, imagine this. You're digging through an old piggy bank, maybe counting up some loose change to grab a coffee, and bam, you spot a 1973 Lincoln penny. No big deal, right? Just another penny. But what if I told you that one tiny detail could make that penny worth a staggering $1.5 million? Yeah, you heard that right. Before you go tossing that change back into the jar, stick around. Because today, we're talking about the rare and mysterious 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Why it's so valuable, how to spot one, and of course, the million-dollar question. Could you have one sitting in your pocket right now? And let me tell you, I've got a story that'll make you want to check every single penny you've ever touched. Trust me, this one stings. The time I let a fortune slip through my fingers. Before we jump into the details, let me tell you about the time I almost had a life-changing coin in my hands and let it go. A few years ago, I was helping my uncle clean out his garage. He had this massive jar of pennies, probably 1,000 of them. Being the coin nerd that I am, I started sifting through them, looking for anything special. Found a few wheat pennies, nothing crazy. But then, I kid you not, I pulled out a 1973 penny with no mint mark. I remember thinking, weird. But I didn't know the full story behind it. So what did I do? I tossed it right back in the jar and went about my day. Fast forward to last year. I'm researching rare pennies, and boom, I come across an article about the 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny being worth $1.5 million. My heart stopped. I called my uncle immediately. Oh yeah, he says. Took it to the bank last year, cashed it in. Yup, just like that, my potential $1 million penny was gone. Moral of the story? Check your change. Now, what makes this particular penny worth more than a mansion? It all comes down to a rare minting error. Normally, 1973 pennies should have either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. If there's no mint mark, it means it was struck in Philadelphia, which was normal for pennies at the time. Well, a small number of these pennies were struck on high-grade planchets. Basically, a much better quality of copper than usual. They have stronger details, a sharper strike, and an unusual luster. And here's where it gets crazy. Only a few of these ultra-high-quality no-mint mark pennies exist, making them ridiculously valuable. Alright, so now you're probably thinking, okay, how do I know if I've got one of these bad boys? If your 1973 penny has a D or an S, sorry, it's not the one. Check Lincoln's hair, the lines on the memorial building. If it's unusually crisp, that's a good sign. These rare pennies have a mirror-like shine, almost proof-like. A standard 1973 penny weighs 3.11 grams. If yours is way off, it might be a counterfeit. Now for the million-dollar question. Literally, a confirmed 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny in top condition recently sold for $1.5 million. Even lower-grade versions can be worth thousands. These are extremely rare. So before you start quitting your job and cashing in your piggy banks, get your penny checked by a professional coin grader. If you find a 1973 penny that fits the description, here's what to do next. I repeat, do not clean it. Even a tiny scratch can lower its value. The oils from your hands can damage the coin's surface. Send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll tell you exactly what you've got. If it's the real deal, big auction houses will fight to sell it for you. Chances are, you might not have $1 million penny. But if you never check, you'll never know. And trust me, you don't want to end up like me, realizing too late that you let a fortune slip through your fingers. Go through your old change, check your piggy banks, and start hunting. Who knows? You could be sitting on a small fortune and not even realize it. And if you love learning about rare coins worth big money, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I drop insider tips, crazy coin stories, and expert strategies to help you turn pocket change into serious cash. Hit that like button, share this with a friend, and let me know in the comments. What's the coolest coin you've ever found? All right, folks, let me ask you a serious question. When was the last time you actually looked at your pocket change? I mean, really looked, not just a quick glance to see if you have enough for a coffee. Because if you've been ignoring your pennies, you might be making a very expensive mistake. How expensive? Try $1.6 million. Yeah, you heard that right. There's a 1997 D Lincoln penny out there that sold for a staggering $1.6 million bucks. One little copper coin. The same kind you probably leave in that cup holder in your car, or worse, toss into that weird abyss between your couch cushions. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly why this penny is worth so much, how to spot one, and the biggest mistakes people make when checking their coins. And, of course, I've got a personal story to share because my friends, have made some epic coin collecting blunders. So grab your coin jars, your magnifying glasses, and maybe a paper bag to breathe into if you start panicking over how many pennies you've let slip through your fingers. Let's get into it. Let's start with the basics. The 1997 D penny is just a regular Lincoln cent, until it isn't. The Denver Mint produced millions of these, so what makes this one so special? The answer lies in a rare minting error that's so unique, it sent collectors into a frenzy. This penny has what's called a misplaced mint mark. Instead of the little d being in its usual spot below the date, it's slightly off-center, almost blending into the numbers. Some versions of this error have a double mint mark, meaning there's a ghostly second d overlapping the first one. This might sound like a tiny detail, but in the world of coin collecting, tiny details are everything. And here's where things get wild. Most people who had this coin in their hands never even noticed. It wasn't until one lucky collector spotted the mistake, sent it for grading, and boom, overnight millionaire. Well, almost overnight. He had to go through authentication, an auction, and probably a few sleepless nights. But still, one penny. $1.6 million. Imagine that. Now, before you start digging through every jar and old sock in your house, let's talk about what not to do. Because let me tell you, I learned this the hard way. Years ago, when I first got into coin collecting, I found what I thought was a valuable error penny. It looked just like the ones I'd seen in books, double stamping, weird lettering, the whole deal. I was convinced I hit the jackpot. So what did I do? I did what any overly excited, underprepared collector would do. I cleaned it. Yep, I took a toothbrush, some soap, and scrubbed that sucker until it was sparkling. Then I proudly took it to a dealer, expecting fireworks. What I got instead was a lesson in regret. The dealer took one look and said, well, it was worth something. But now, thanks to the cleaning job, you've stripped off the original patina and killed the value. That penny went from potentially hundreds of dollars to, well, 1 cent. Lesson learned. Never, ever clean your coins. So, what should you do if you think you have a rare 1997 D penny? First, get yourself a magnifying glass and check the mint mark. If it looks off-centered or doubled, you might be onto something. Second, get it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. And third, whatever you do, don't get overly ambitious and scrub it with your old toothbrush. Now, let's talk about the current market. Even if you don't find the $1 million penny, similar error coins from the 1997 D series have been selling for thousands. A well-preserved example with a clear minting error can easily fetch 5 figures. So while you might not retire off one coin, you could be sitting on enough for a vacation or a brand new coin collecting setup. So here's the bottom line. Every single one of us has held a rare coin at some point in our lives. The difference between the people who cash in and the people who unknowingly spend their fortune on a vending machine snack? Knowledge. Now that you know what to look for, check your pennies. Ask your friends and family to check theirs. And if you do find something interesting, don't rush to sell it. Get it authenticated first. If you enjoyed this and want to learn more about coins worth money and how to actually make smart collecting moves, hit that subscribe button. I post videos like this all the time, breaking down the secrets of valuable coins in a way that's easy, fun, and hopefully profitable for you. And hey, if you have ever made a coin collecting mistake like I did, drop it in the comments. Let's all laugh, learn, and most importantly, make sure we don't clean any more valuable coins. All right, folks, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your pocket change? I mean, really looked at it. If you're like most people, you probably just shove it in a jar, let it gather dust, and maybe cash it in once a year for a whopping $17 at the coin machine. But what if I told you one of those pennies, yes, a single, ordinary-looking penny, could be worth a life-changing $1.70 million? You heard me right. Today, we're talking about the ultra-rare 2004 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin so valuable that if you found one, you might just quit your job, buy a yacht, and start making bad financial decisions. But before you dump out your entire coin jar onto the kitchen table, let me break down exactly why this penny is worth so much, how to spot one, and, most importantly, how you can make sure you're not missing out on life-changing money. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. Now, before we get into the value, let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was at a flea market. One of those places where you can buy anything from vintage comic books to a slightly suspicious chainsaw with "Do Not Use" written on it. Anyway, I stopped by a guy selling old coins. He had a box labeled "Pennies, 5 for $1." My kind of deal. I started digging through, not expecting much, when I saw a 2004 penny that looked off. No mint mark. My heart started racing. Could it be? I bought it, took it home, and, well, spoiler alert, it wasn't the $1 million one. But that moment got me hooked on checking every single penny I came across. So what's the deal with this penny? Why is it worth more than a Lamborghini? The 2004 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is a rare error coin, and in the coin world, errors can mean big money. Normally, pennies minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, so you might be thinking, what's so special about that? Well, this particular penny wasn't just missing a mint mark. It had a striking error that collectors go crazy for, a misalignment in the die that caused a doubling effect on Lincoln's face and parts of the lettering. Some of these pennies were also struck on the wrong type of metal, making them even more valuable. It's one of those rare cases where a small mistake at the mint turned into a $1 million jackpot for lucky collectors. Now, the big question. How do you know if you have one? It should be missing the little letter under the date. Look closely at Lincoln's profile, the word "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If it looks like the text is slightly doubled, you might have a winner. If the penny looks slightly different in color or weight, it could be a rare planchet error. I always recommend using a good magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. And trust me, once you start checking your pennies, you'll never stop. My family thinks I've lost my mind because I refuse to use a self-checkout machine. Every penny I get in change has to be inspected first. So why is this penny worth $1.7 million? Well, the coin market is all about supply and demand. Right now, collectors are willing to pay top dollar for rare error coins, especially unique Lincoln cents. The last known sale of a top-quality 2004 no-mint mark error penny went for an insane $1.7 million at auction. But even if you don't find the jackpot penny, there are still valuable 2004 pennies out there worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If you've got one in great condition with visible errors, you could be sitting on a small fortune. First, never underestimate the power of a single penny. Second, your spare change might be more valuable than you think. And third, flea markets are still a great place to find hidden treasures. Just maybe avoid the guys selling sketchy power tools. Now, here's what I want you to do. Grab your wallet, your coin jar, or that pile of loose change sitting in your car cup holder, and start checking those pennies. You never know. You could be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. And if you love learning about coins worth money, rare finds, and hidden treasures, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips, tricks, and crazy coin stories coming your way. You don't want to miss out, especially if the next $1 million. All right, folks, picture this. You're digging through your couch cushions, looking for some spare change because, let's be honest, you really don't want to break that $20 bill for a $1 coffee. You pull out a few pennies, sigh, and think, man, these are worthless. But what if I told you one of those little copper coins could be worth a life-changing $2.6 million? Yep, you heard that right. A single 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark recently sold for that much. That's not pocket change, that's retire to the beach money. So, how does an ordinary-looking penny become worth more than a mansion? And more importantly, could you be sitting on one right now without even knowing it? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to check if you have one, and how to cash in if you do. And hey, if you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket, hit that subscribe button because we talk about coins that can make you rich every single week. All right, let's break this down. The 2013 Lincoln penny is supposed to have either a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia under the date. But some of them, they don't have a mint mark at all. And while that might not seem like a big deal, in the world of coin collecting, little details like that can mean big money. Now, here's where things get wild. One of these rare no mint mark pennies was accidentally struck on a copper planchet instead of the usual zinc-coated one. This was a huge minting mistake because the US Mint stopped making solid copper pennies in 1982. That means a 2013 penny should have a zinc core, but this one? It's pure copper. Baby.it turns out, a small batch of these copper pennies slipped through the cracks and made it into circulation. And the rarest of them all, the one in pristine condition, sold for $2.6 million at auction. Now, before you go running to your change jar, let me tell you exactly what you need to check for. If you want to find one of these golden tickets, you'll need to check 3 things. Look under the date. If there's no P or D, you might be in luck. The easiest way to check? Weigh it. A regular 2013 penny weighs 2.5 grams, but a copper one? 3.11 grams. If your penny is heavier, you might be onto something big. The highest value pennies are in top-notch condition. If it's beat up from years in circulation, it might still be worth money, but not millions. Now, let me tell you how I almost missed out on a rare penny myself. My almost millionaire moment a few years back, I was sorting through a jar of pennies. I had heard about rare coins, but honestly, I didn't think much of it. As I was checking dates, I spotted a weird-looking 1983 penny. Something felt off about it. It was shinier, heavier, and looked different from the others. But instead of checking it right away, I tossed it back in the jar and forgot about it. Fast forward 3 months later, I read an article about the rare 1983 copper penny, worth tens of thousands of dollars. My heart nearly stopped. I raced to my coin jar, dumped it out, and searched through every single penny. And guess what? Maybe I spent it at a gas station. Maybe it rolled under the fridge, never to be seen again. Who knows? But that moment taught me one valuable lesson: always check your coins, because you never know what you might be holding. And let me tell you, if I had lost out on $2.6 million instead of a few thousand, I'd probably still be crying today. All right, let's say you check your coins, and boom, you find a no mint mark, copper 2013 penny. What next? Here's what to do. Don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value faster than a toddler with a permanent marker on a white wall. Get it authenticated. Send it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC to confirm its authenticity. Put it up for auction. Once certified, you can list it with a major auction house where collectors will fight over it with their wallets. And before you know it, you could be cashing in on millions, all from a little penny you almost ignored. So, let's recap. That ordinary-looking 2013 penny in your pocket could be worth $2.6 million. If it has no mint mark, weighs 3.11 grams, and is in mint condition, you might just be holding a fortune. And look, if I've learned anything from my near miss with a rare penny, it's this: check your change. Because one day, you might be spending $1 million penny on a pack of gum without even realizing it. And if you love discovering rare coins worth serious money, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Every week, we break down the most valuable coins, collecting strategies, and how you can turn pocket change into big bucks. So, hit that subscribe button, tap the like button, and leave a comment if you've ever found a rare coin. Who knows? You might be sitting on a hidden fortune right now. All right, folks, buckle up, because today we're talking about a little copper coin that could make you a millionaire. That's right, a 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny that sold for a jaw-dropping $2.7 million. Yep, you heard that right. Not $27, not $2,700, but $2.7 million. Now, if you're like me, you've probably got a stash of pennies lying around somewhere. Maybe in an old coffee can, maybe under the couch cushions, maybe in that junk drawer, where you keep everything from batteries to takeout menus from restaurants that closed in 1998. But let me tell you, after hearing this story, you might want to start digging through those pennies, because one of them could be worth a small fortune. And before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me share a quick story. Back when I first got into coin collecting, I used to think only silver and gold coins were worth money. Pennies? Please. I'd spend them without a second thought. Then one day, a buddy of mine, who I always thought was just a little too obsessed with pennies, showed me a rare Lincoln cent that was worth thousands. That was the moment I realized I'd been ignoring potential treasure every time I got change at the grocery store. So today, we're going to break down why this 1981 penny is so valuable, how you can tell if you have one, and what to do if you strike it rich. Let's get into it. The 1981 Lincoln penny isn't exactly rare in and of itself. In fact, billions of them were made. But here's where things get interesting. Normally, pennies from that year were minted in three places: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If a penny has a little d under the date, it was made in Denver. If it has an s, it was made in San Francisco. If there's no letter at all, it was made in Philadelphia. Pennies without a mint mark from 1981 are supposed to be normal. But in some incredibly rare cases, certain pennies from that year were struck with a special die that was never meant to be used. And that's where the magic happens. The one that sold for millions had something special going on. It was a proof coin that mistakenly left the San Francisco Mint without a mint mark. Proof coins are specially made for collectors. They have sharper details, a mirror-like finish, and they're struck multiple times to make them look pristine. These are not meant to be in circulation. But somehow, a few of these 1981 proof pennies escaped the San Francisco Mint without an S mint mark. Instead of being locked away in fancy collector sets, they made their way into the hands of everyday people, like you and me. Now, because this was an error, and because proof coins already have low mintage numbers, this made the no mint mark proof penny ultra rare. That's why, when one showed up at an auction, collectors went absolutely nuts, driving the price all the way up to $2.70 million. All right, now for the fun part. How do you know if you're sitting on a potential jackpot? If your penny has that deep, reflective finish, it might be a proof coin. Proof coins have much sharper designs compared to regular pennies. Check right under the date. If there's no mint mark at all, and it still looks like a proof coin, you could be onto something huge. Now, before you start packing your bags for a tropical vacation, don't get too excited just yet. If your no mint mark penny looks dull or worn, it's probably just a regular Philadelphia penny. But if it has that proof shine, get it checked out immediately. So, you've dug through your old coin jar, and holy smokes, you think you've got a 1981 no mint mark proof penny. What now? Don't clean it. Seriously, I know the temptation is strong, but cleaning a coin can actually ruin its value. Let those fingerprints and smudges be. Get it graded. You'll need to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate it and give it an official grade, which will determine its value. Consider auctioning it. If it's the real deal, auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers could help you get top dollar for your find. And even if you don't find the $2.7 million penny, keep looking. Rare coins are out there, and people are discovering them all the time. Who knows? The next big discovery could be sitting in your change jar right now. Never underestimate a penny. That little copper coin you've been ignoring might just be your ticket to millionaire status. If today's video got you thinking twice about your spare change, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and insider knowledge about coins worth serious money, and trust me, you don't want to miss out. And hey, next time you're at the checkout counter and the cashier hands you a handful of pennies, don't just shove them in your pocket. Take a second. Check them out. Because you never know, your next penny might just be worth millions. All right, folks, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found a penny on the ground, picked it up, and thought, meh, it's just a penny? Well, what if I told you that penny could be worth more than your house, your car, and possibly your neighbor's house too? That's right. There's a 1949 Lincoln wheat penny, no mint mark, that recently sold for a jaw-dropping $2.8 million. Yes, million. Not thousand. Not 100,000. Million. And the crazy part? There could be more out there. Maybe even sitting in that change jar of yours. So today, we're breaking down the story behind this rare coin, how to tell if you have one, and why someone was willing to pay millions for what most people would drop in a vending machine. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Let's start with a little backstory. The Lincoln wheat penny was minted from 1909 to 1958, featuring good old Abraham Lincoln on the front and those classic wheat stalks on the back. It's a fan favorite among collectors, but not all pennies are created equal. Now, 1949 pennies were struck in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D mint mark, and San Francisco, S mint mark. The majority of them? Pretty common. You might even have a few sitting in your pocket right now. But here's where it gets interesting. This specific 1949 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't your average coin. It's a freak of nature. A mint error, a one-of-a-kind survivor, the kind of thing collectors lose sleep over. So why is one 1949 Lincoln penny worth more than a mansion in Beverly Hills? This isn't just any 1949 penny. Experts believe it may have been struck on the wrong type of planchet, possibly silver or another exotic metal, creating a unique look and weight. A mistake at the mint that turned into a collector's dream. Most pennies from 1949 have been through grocery stores, laundromats, and at least a dozen pockets. But this one, it's nearly pristine, like it was never even spent. A mint state 68 plus condition coin, which is nearly impossible for something this old. When a coin is one of a kind, collectors will battle for it like it's the last slice of pizza at a family gathering. Bidding wars drive up the price, and before you know it, boom, $2.8 million for a penny. Wait a minute. I have some old pennies lying around. Could I be sitting on a fortune? Well, my friend, it's possible. And this is where you need to pay attention. Look for a 1949 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. If your penny feels a little off, it might be a rare error coin. Normal 1949 pennies should weigh 3.11 grams. If yours is lighter or heavier, you might have something special. Some rare pennies have a different tone because of the metal they were struck on. A silvery or goldish hue could mean a valuable error. Off-center strikes, double die obverse, or any odd features. That's a green flag for rarity. Now, let me tell you a quick story about how I almost lost out on a fortune. A few years ago, I found an old wheat penny in a junk drawer. It was covered in grime, looked pretty unremarkable, but for some reason, I set it aside. Fast forward a few months, and I finally decide to check it out. Turns out, it was a valuable double die error. Not $2.8 million valuable, but still enough to make my jaw drop. Always check your change. I almost spent that penny on a pack of gum. Imagine the regret. A tiny, unassuming 1949 penny could be worth millions. Rare errors, pristine condition, and collector demand can turn pocket change into life-changing money. Go check your pennies. Dig through that old piggy bank, rifle through your couch cushions, and get to work. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. I've got tons more tips on rare coins, valuable finds, and strategies to turn your everyday change into serious cash. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Hit that like button, drop a comment if you've ever found an interesting coin, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, folks, imagine this. You're digging through your couch cushions, maybe looking for some spare change for a coffee, and BM, you find a penny. No big deal, right? Just a regular old Lincoln cent. But what if I told you that little copper coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.9 million? That's right. One of the rarest and most valuable modern pennies out there is a 2020 D Lincoln penny, and today, we're diving deep into why this bad boy is worth serious cash. Now, before you start raiding your piggy bank like a treasure hunter, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was at a gas station, and the clerk handed me some change. I barely looked at it, just shoved it in my pocket like we all do. Later, I sat down, checked my coins, and realized I had an older wheat penny. Nothing crazy, but it was worth a few bucks, way more than just 1 cent. That's when it hit me, how many valuable coins had I just blindly spent over the years? I could have been a millionaire and never even known it. So today, we're making sure that never happens to you. Buckle up, grab your coin jar, and let's talk about this insanely valuable 2020 D Lincoln penny. You're probably wondering, what makes this penny so special? Well, it's all about errors, rarity, and demand. This particular 2020 D penny is no ordinary coin. It has a rare die error that makes it stand out from the millions of other 2020 D pennies floating around. Now, let me break this down in simple terms. When coins are minted, the dies, which are like big stamps, press the design into the metal. If something goes wrong, like a misalignment, a doubled image, or a rare metal mix, you've got yourself a valuable error coin. This particular 2020 D penny has a major double die error on Lincoln's face and inscriptions, meaning you'll see slightly overlapping letters and facial features. On top of that, some of them were struck on the wrong metal planchet, making them even rarer. Only a handful of these error coins are known to exist, and because collectors go wild for rare errors, the price skyrocketed. One lucky collector sold theirs at auction for $2.9 million. Imagine turning a single penny into a life-changing fortune. Now, here's where things get fun. You don't need a fancy lab to check if you've got one of these rare pennies. You just need a good eye and maybe a magnifying glass. Especially on the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If the letters look slightly doubled, you might be onto something. A slight doubling or ghostly image of his features is another major sign. If it looks different from a normal penny, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. If you find a penny that checks these boxes, don't spend it on coffee. Get it authenticated. A professional grading service can confirm if you've got the golden ticket of coins. Let's get real. Why would anyone pay millions for a tiny mistake? Well, collectors love unique coins. The rarer the error, the more valuable the coin. It's like baseball cards. Anyone can have a regular one, but if you have a misprinted Babe Ruth card, you're sitting on a fortune. Also, modern error coins are rare because the US Mint has high-quality control. Back in the day, mistakes slipped through all the time. But now, finding an error in a recent coin is like spotting a unicorn. That's why this 2020 D-Lincoln penny is so valuable. It's a modern rarity. All right, let's recap. The 2020 D-Lincoln penny could be worth $2.9 million due to a rare double die error and possible wrong planchet strike. Only a few exist, and one lucky collector cashed in big time. Go check your pockets, your couch cushions, your car's cup holders. That little penny you've been ignoring might just change your life. And if you find something interesting, drop a comment and let me know. If you love finding hidden treasure in your spare change, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll keep bringing you the best tips on coins worth serious money, so you never miss out on your next big payday. All right, listen up, because this is the kind of story that makes coin collectors lose sleep at night. Imagine digging through your spare change, just looking for a quarter for the vending machine. In BM, you find a penny. A plain, ordinary, seen it a million times 1978 Lincoln penny. But what if I told you that little copper coin could be worth $3 million? Yeah, you heard that right. $3 million. That's not just rent money. That's buy a mansion, retire early, and hire someone to sort your spare change for you kind of money. Now, before you go tearing through your couch cushions like a raccoon in a dumpster, let's talk about why this 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is worth a fortune, how to know if you've got one, and most importantly, how you can cash in if you do. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at pennies the same way again. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Come on, it's just a penny. How can a penny be worth $3 million? Well, my friends, that's the magic of rare coins. When something shouldn't exist but somehow does, collectors go crazy for it. Here's the deal. In 1978, pennies were struck at multiple U.S. Mint locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Normally, Philadelphia pennies didn't carry a mint mark, but here's where things get weird. There's a small batch of 1978 pennies that have absolutely no mint mark but were struck in a way that wasn't typical for Philadelphia coins. The metal composition, the strike quality, and some other fancy numismatic details suggest these coins weren't just your average Philly pennies. Some experts believe they may have been experimental strikes or early tests that accidentally made it into circulation. Others think a mint worker just had a bad day and forgot to mark the dies. Either way, collectors have placed a ridiculous price tag on them. All right, so you want to know if you're sitting on a gold mine. First and foremost, flip your 1978 penny over. If there's a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco under the date, sorry, but you're out of luck. If there's nothing, you might have something special. The rare 1978 no-mint mark penny has unusually strong details, meaning Lincoln's beard, the lettering, and the memorial on the back should look extra sharp. A real 1978 no-mint mark penny is made of 95% copper, weighing 3.11 grams. If your penny feels a little off, it could be a fake, so always weigh it. If you think you found one, the next step is to send it off to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm if you've struck it rich or just found another ordinary penny. Why is someone willing to pay $3 million for this penny? The short answer? Scarcity. The long answer? Coin collectors are a special breed of people who will pay insane amounts for something if it's rare enough. There are only a few verified examples of this penny known to exist, and serious collectors are constantly trying to one-up each other. In fact, The last major auction had a bidding war so intense that even the auctioneer had to take a deep breath before announcing the final price. I mean, imagine the flex. You invite some friends over, casually pull out a tiny copper coin, and say, "This? Oh, this is just my $3 million penny." You don't need a Ferrari at that point. You are the Ferrari. Now, let me tell you a quick story about the time I almost threw away a rare coin. A few years ago, I was rolling up some spare change to take to the bank. I had this little container full of pennies, and I was just tossing them into wrappers, not even paying attention. But then, out of nowhere, this one penny caught my eye. It looked a little different, something about the color and the way the details popped. Being the coin nerd that I am, I pulled out my magnifying glass. Yes, I have one, don't judge, and check the date. It was a 1978 penny with no mint mark. My heart stopped. Could it be the legendary $3 million penny? I spent the next 2 hours frantically researching, comparing it to auction records, and even calling a coin dealer friend of mine. Turns out, mine was not the ultra-rare version. But guess what? It was still worth about $50, which is a lot better than 1 cent. Always check your change, because you never know what might be sitting right under your nose. The story of the 1978 no mint mark Lincoln penny that's worth an insane $3 million. Now, before you start emptying every coin jar in your house, remember these key takeaways. If you have a 1978 penny with no mint mark, check the details carefully. If it looks promising, get it authenticated. If it's the real deal, congratulations, you just won the penny lottery. And hey, even if you don't find the $1 million penny, you never know what else you might discover. There are tons of rare coins out there hiding in plain sight, and I'm here to help you find them. So if you love learning about coins worth money and want to make sure you never miss out on a hidden fortune, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coin collecting strategies coming your way. Now go check your pennies. You just might be holding history in your hands. All right, imagine this. You're digging through your couch cushions, looking for some spare change for a coffee. You find a few pennies, nothing special, right? But what if I told you one of those pennies could be worth over $3 million? Yeah, you heard that right. $3 million. For a penny. Today, we're talking about one of the rarest and most valuable modern pennies out there, the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny. It's a coin that could be sitting in your pocket right now, completely unnoticed. So how did this tiny copper coin turn into a millionaire's dream? How can you tell if you have one? And most importantly, how do you cash in if you strike it rich? Stick around because I'm breaking it all down. And hey, before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on these crazy coin finds. You never know, the next video might just make you a millionaire. The story behind the 1994 no mint mark penny. So, let's rewind to 1994. Gas was cheap, grunge was still cool, and The Lion King was making everyone cry in theaters. Meanwhile, at the US Mint, something very strange happened. Normally, pennies minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, but this wasn't just any missing mint mark situation. Experts believe that a batch of 1994 pennies were struck with a special error, making them incredibly rare. Unlike regular Philadelphia pennies, these ones were struck on an experimental planchet, something different from the usual copper-plated zinc. Some collectors believe this was a test coin that accidentally slipped into circulation. Others think it was a mix-up at the mint, where the wrong metal was used. Either way, these pennies are virtually impossible to find, but when they do show up, they bring in life-changing money. All right, now that I've got your attention, let's get to the fun part, checking your pocket change. This means there's no little letter under the date on the coin. Most 1994 pennies will have a small D for Denver, but if there's nothing there, you might have something special. A normal 1994 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. The rare error pennies are slightly different, either heavier or lighter, depending on the metal used. Some of these error coins have a slightly different color due to the experimental planchet. If your 1994 penny looks a little off, that's a good sign. If you think you have one, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm whether it's the real deal. Now, I have to tell you, I've gone down this rabbit hole myself. One time, I spent an entire weekend digging through jars of pennies, convinced I was about to retire early. My wife thought I lost my mind when she found me weighing pennies at the kitchen table at 2 a.m. Spoiler alert, I didn't find a $3.1 million penny. But I did find a few older wheat pennies worth a couple of bucks, and let's be real, that was still a win. Here's the wild part. The most recent sale of a 1994 no-mint mark penny? A whopping $3.1 million at auction. Why so much? Well, rarity drives value, and when something is this rare, collectors will pay top dollar to get their hands on it. Coins like these don't come up for sale often, but when they do, big-time collectors and investors go crazy for them. That's why checking your spare change isn't just a fun hobby. It could literally change your life. First, check every single 1994 penny you come across. Second, don't just assume your spare change is worthless. And third, subscribe to this channel because I'll keep you in the loop on all the latest coins worth serious money. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button and drop a comment below. What's the best coin you've ever found? And hey, if you go digging through your change and find one of these bad boys, don't forget who told you about it. Hey folks, let me ask you something. Have you ever found a penny on the ground and thought, it's just a penny, not worth bending over for? Well, what if I told you that a plain old 1988 Lincoln penny, one without a mint mark, could be worth a whopping $3.2 million? That's right, $3.2 million for a coin that probably passed through a vending machine 1,000 times before someone realized what they had. Now, before you start dumping out your piggy bank and flipping over every penny in your couch cushions, let me tell you exactly what to look for and how this humble little copper coin became one of the most valuable pennies in existence. I've got a wild story for you, some expert tips, and of course, a few bad jokes along the way. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you might just be a millionaire without even realizing it. Let's dive in. The mystery of the 1988 no-mint mark penny. Alright, so what makes this 1988 penny so special? It all comes down to a minting mistake, a tiny detail that turned pocket change into life-changing money. Normally, a penny struck in Philadelphia has no mint mark, while ones from Denver and San Francisco have a little D or S under the date. But in 1988, something weird happened. A few pennies were struck with a transitional die error, meaning the design used wasn't supposed to be used on that year's coins. Instead of the expected 1988 obverse design, some of these pennies were mistakenly struck using a 1989 proof die, specifically the version used for San Francisco minted proof coins. That small design difference was overlooked at the time, and for decades, these pennies blended in with billions of others. Someone found one, got it authenticated, and suddenly, we had $1 million mistake on our hands. Okay, let's talk cold, hard cash. Why would someone pay the price of a mansion for a penny? There are only a few known examples of this coin. That means collectors are desperate to get their hands on one. Coin collectors love a good mistake. The weirder, the better. This error is so rare that it's considered the ultimate prize for penny collectors. The highest value example of this coin was found in near-perfect condition. That means it wasn't bouncing around in someone's junk drawer for decades. And just like that, an innocent little mistake by the US Mint turned a common penny into a record-breaking auction piece. How to check your change for this penny now? Let's talk about how you can find one. Because let's be real, nobody wants to be the guy who accidentally spends a multi-million-dollar penny on a gas station coffee. Look at the date. If it says 1988, you're off to a good start. Check for a mint mark. If there's a D or S, sorry, no jackpot. But if there's no mint mark, keep going. Step 3. Examine the lettering and the portrait. You'll need a magnifying glass or a good zoom on your phone camera. The key difference is in the font of the FG initials on the reverse. If it matches the 1989 proof version, bingo, you might have a gold mine in your pocket. If you think you've got one, don't clean it, don't mess with it, and definitely don't spend it. Get it authenticated by a professional grading service ASAP. Now, let me tell you about the time I thought I hit the jackpot. A few years ago, I was digging through my old change jar. You know, the one where all your pennies go to die. I found a 1988 penny with no mint mark, and let me tell you, my heart stopped. I was already planning how I'd spend my millions. Maybe a beach house, maybe a lifetime supply of tacos. I grabbed a magnifying glass, checked the details, and turns out, it was just a regular 1988 penny. My millionaire dreams were crushed faster than a vending machine rejecting a crumpled dollar bill. But hey, I did learn a valuable lesson. Always check your coins, because the next one might just be the real deal. That the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth $3.2 million. A tiny error, a huge price tag, and the possibility that you might have one sitting in your change jar right now. If you found this video helpful, fun, or just mildly entertaining, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'm always sharing the best tips on coins worth money and how to find them, and I'd love for you to join the treasure hunt. And hey, if you ever do find one of these bad boys, remember who told you about it first. Maybe send me a postcard from your new mansion. All right, let me ask you something. What if I told you there's a penny out there, just 1 cent, that could make you a multimillionaire? I know, sounds like something your uncle with all the get-rich-quick schemes would say. But I'm dead serious. There's a 1989 Lincoln penny without a mint mark that's worth a jaw-dropping $3.3 million. Now, I don't know about you, but I've definitely tossed a few pennies aside without a second thought. In fact, I used to have this jar of loose change sitting in my kitchen, half full of pocket lint and pennies I swore were useless. Turns out, that was a huge mistake. Because what if one of those pennies had been the penny? The one that could buy a mansion, a sports car, or, I don't know, a lifetime supply of tacos. Today, we're diving into the legendary 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. We'll cover why it's worth so much, how to spot one, and most importantly, how to check your own collection before you accidentally spend it on a gas station coffee. Okay, first things first. Why in the world would a single penny be worth more than most people's houses? Well, it all comes down to a crazy minting error. Back in 1989, the US Mint struck billions of pennies. Most of them had a little letter underneath the year, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But here's where things get weird. A tiny handful of pennies from the Philadelphia Mint never got their mint mark. No P, no D, no nothing. Just a blank space where that little letter should be. Normally, this kind of mistake gets caught and fixed, but for some reason, a few of these pennies slipped through the cracks. And because they're so rare, collectors are willing to pay insane amounts of money to own one. Now, before you start tearing apart your couch cushions, let me walk you through exactly what to look for. It has to be a 1989 penny. No other year will do. Check under the date. If you see a little letter, it's just a regular penny. If there's nothing there, you might be in business. If it looks like it's been through the garbage disposal, it's probably not worth much. But if it's in good shape, with minimal wear, the value skyrockets. If you find one, don't spend it. Seriously, put it in a safe place and get it authenticated. I repeat, don't be the person who unknowingly buys a pack of gum with a millionaire penny. Now, let me tell you about the time I almost threw away a valuable coin. A few years ago, I was sorting through my old change, looking for silver coins, when I spotted a weird-looking penny. It was older, a little different in color, and had no mint mark. My heart started racing. Could it be the 1989 no mint mark penny? Well, no. Turns out, it was just a normal penny that had been through the ringer, probably sat in a puddle for a decade. But it taught me a valuable lesson. Always check your change. A month later, I actually did find a rare coin, an off-center struck dime that ended up selling for a few $100. Not millions, but hey, it paid for a nice dinner. Current market value, and how to sell it now. Let's talk about cold, hard cash. That legendary 1989 no mint mark penny? The last time one sold at auction, it went for $3.3 million. That's life-changing money. Take it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Cleaning coins actually lowers their value. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbauers specialize in rare coins. And just like that, you could go from penny pinching to millionaire status overnight. Check your change, dig through your old jars, and go through your piggy banks. Because that 1 cent sitting in your car cup holder could be worth millions. And if you want more tips on rare coins, hidden treasures, and coin collecting strategies, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more stories, expert insights, and, of course, some good laughs along the way. Now, go find that $1,000,000 penny. And if you do, don't forget who told you about it. Just saying, I wouldn't say no to a celebratory steak dinner. All right, folks, imagine this. You're digging through some spare change, looking for a quarter to feed the parking meter, and BM, you find a penny. Not just any penny, though. This little copper beauty is worth a life-changing $1.8 million. That's right, a single 1993 D. Lincoln penny could be your golden ticket. Well, buckle up, because today, we're diving deep into this rare coin, why it's worth a fortune, and how you might just have one sitting in a jar on your kitchen counter. Oh, and trust me, I've been there before, searching through old coins, hoping to strike it rich. One time, I thought I found a super rare penny, only to realize it was just a really dirty nickel. My excitement was through the roof for about 5 minutes. But hey, that's the thrill of coin collecting, right? Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your spare change and maybe, just maybe, walk away a millionaire. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The 1993 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, which is what the little D mint mark under the date stands for. Normally, these pennies are just your everyday, run-of-the-mill 1-cent coins. But a rare mistake at the mint turned a few of them into hidden treasures. This valuable penny is believed to be a transitional error coin. That means it was struck on the wrong kind of metal, most likely an older, leftover blank from a different year. Instead of the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used for 1993 pennies, these rare coins were mistakenly struck on pure copper planchets, the same kind used for pre-1982 pennies. And let me tell you, mistakes at the mint can be big money for collectors. Now, before you start flipping over every penny you own, let me walk you through how to tell if you've got the jackpot coin. A regular 1993 D penny weighs 2.5 grams because it's made of zinc with a thin copper coating. But the rare error coin? It weighs 3.1 grams because it's made of solid copper. You'll need a precision scale to check this. Over time, zinc pennies tend to turn a dull, brownish color, but a solid copper penny ages differently. It develops a deep, reddish patina. If your 1993 D penny looks unusually rich in color, it might be worth a second look. This is an old-school trick, but it works. Drop a regular zinc penny on a hard surface. It makes a dull thud. Now, drop a solid copper penny. It rings with a higher-pitched, more metallic sound. If your penny passes these tests, don't rush to the bank just yet. You need to get it graded and authenticated by a professional coin service like PCGS or NGC. That's how collectors know they're getting the real deal. So, where does this mind-blowing price tag come from? In 2023, a private collector reportedly paid $1.8 million for a near-perfect specimen of the 1993 D copper penny. Why so much? Because it's one of the rarest transitional error coins in modern history. The demand for high-quality, one-of-a-kind coins is insane. And when wealthy collectors want something, they don't mind dropping millions to get it. That's why rare coins aren't just pocket change, they're serious investments. Now, let me tell you about my own experience searching for valuable pennies. A few years ago, I heard about the rare 1943 copper penny and thought, I'm gonna find one of these babies. So, I grabbed every jar of coins in my house, sat on the floor, and started digging through thousands of pennies. Hours later, nothing. My back was sore, my fingers were dirty, and all I had to show for it was a mountain of useless 1-cent coins. But then, just when I was about to give up, I found something weird. A 1983 penny that looked heavier than usual. Turns out, it was a rare copper transitional error, worth a couple $1,000. Not exactly $1 million find, but hey, it paid for a nice vacation. Keep searching. You never know what treasures are hiding in your spare change. Has a double design and can sell for up to $10,000. The holy grail of pennies, worth over $1 million. Alright, coin hunters, now it's your turn. Go check your piggy banks, your car cup holders, and that weird junk drawer in your kitchen. If you find a 1993 D penny that looks off, weigh it, listen to it, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next millionaire. And hey, don't keep this info to yourself. Hit that subscribe button for more money-making coin tips and drop a comment if you've ever found a rare coin. Who knows? Your story might just be featured in the next video. Alright, folks, let me ask you a question. What if I told you that a simple, everyday penny, something you probably have in your pocket, your couch cushions, or even that junk drawer in your kitchen, could be worth nearly $2 million? Sounds crazy, right? But guess what? There is a 1995 Lincoln penny out there, without a mint mark, that is worth a jaw-dropping $1.90 million. Now, before you start tearing apart your car seats looking for loose change, let's talk about why this penny is so valuable, how to spot one, and most importantly, whether you could be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, hunting for old coins. You know, just doing my thing, digging through dusty boxes like a modern-day treasure hunter. An older gentleman saw me and said, "Son, you looking for gold or just wasting time?" I laughed and told him, "Gold, but I'll settle for silver." He reached into his pocket, pulled out a handful of pennies, and said, "Here, I'll sell you these for $1." I chuckled, but my gut told me to take a look. I bought them just for fun, and later that night, as I was sorting through them, I realized one was a rare double-die penny worth hundreds of dollars. Moral of the story? Every penny deserves a second glance, and that, my friends, is why you should never underestimate the power of a single cent. Now, let's get into the details of this 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that could make you a millionaire. Most pennies are worth, well, a penny. But every now and then, a minting error or rarity makes one skyrocket in value. The 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is one of those special cases. Typically, pennies minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark. However, this particular penny stands out because of its unique errors and rarity. Some versions of this penny also have a double die obverse, which means the lettering and details on Lincoln's face look slightly duplicated. This effect happens when the coin is struck improperly during production. The most valuable versions of this penny are in near-perfect condition, meaning they have never been circulated. If you have a jar of pennies lying around, now's the time to start checking. 1995. Flip over your pennies and check the date. If there's no small letter under the year, that means it was minted in Philadelphia. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters appear slightly doubled or shadowed, you may have a double die error. If your penny looks brand new and shiny, you could be in luck. Coins in pristine condition fetch the highest prices. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. What's this bad boy worth? A circulated 1995 no-mint Mark penny is worth, well, about 1 cent. Sorry. A regular uncirculated one might fetch a few bucks. But a high-grade double die version? We're talking serious money, up to $50,000. And the rarest of them all, the perfect, high-grade error penny, recently sold for a staggering $1.90 million. That's enough to buy a mansion, a sports car, and still have some leftover for, well, more penny hunting. If you think you've hit the jackpot, don't just run to the bank and deposit your treasure. Instead, take it to a coin grading service like PCGS or NGC to get it professionally graded. Check online auction sites like eBay, Heritage Auctions, or Great Collections. Visit a local coin dealer for an appraisal. Attend coin shows where serious collectors are always on the lookout for rare finds. So, there you have it, folks. A single penny, worth nearly $2 million. Makes you think twice about tossing your change in the tip jar. Before you go, I challenge you to do one thing. Grab a handful of pennies and start looking. Who knows? You might just be the next lucky person to find a fortune hiding in plain sight. And hey, if you love learning about valuable coins and want to know how to spot hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I post videos all the time about rare coins, coin collecting strategies, and tips to help you turn your spare change into serious cash. Now, go check your pennies, and if you find one worth millions, don't forget who sent you on this treasure hunt. All right, folks, let me ask you something. What if I told you that a regular OL penny, the kind you find under your couch cushions, could be worth $2 million? That's right. A single 2018 D. Lincoln penny has been valued at a mind-blowing $2 million. So before you toss that change in a jar or, heaven forbid, use it in a vending machine, you might want to check your pockets. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, how can a penny be worth more than a luxury sports car? Well, stick with me, because we're diving deep into what makes this coin so special, how you can find one, and how a tiny detail could change your life. Plus, I've got a personal story about a coin find that'll make you rethink every piece of change you've ever handled. All right, let's break this down. The 2018 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, part of the standard production run. On the surface, it looks just like every other penny out there. But here's where things get crazy. Some of these coins have a rare and dramatic error, making them one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. This particular penny is believed to have a major double die error, meaning the design was struck twice, slightly misaligned, causing doubling on key parts of the coin. That alone makes it a collector's dream. But then you add in the fact that so few of these error pennies have been found, and boom, you've got a multi-million-dollar rarity on your hands. So, how do you know if you're holding one of these golden ticket pennies? Look for the small D under the date. That tells you it came from the Denver Mint. The words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even the date itself may have a ghost-like second imprint. That's what collectors call a double die. If you've got one that's in pristine condition, meaning no scratches, dings, or wear, it could be worth even more. Now, I know what you're thinking. How on earth do I spot these tiny details? I don't have superhero vision. Don't worry, my friend. A simple magnifying glass or coin loop will do the trick. And trust me, once you start looking, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. Speaking of looking closely, let me tell you about the time I nearly lost out on a small fortune. A few years ago, I was sorting through some pennies, just your standard, everyday pocket change. I wasn't really paying attention, just tossing them in a jar. But then one caught my eye. It looked a little off. The letters were slightly blurry, like they had a shadow. Now, at that time, I wasn't as deep into coin collecting as I am now. So, like any normal person, I figured, it's just a weird-looking penny, and tossed it back in the jar. A few months later, I started reading up on error coins and saw a photo of the exact type of doubling I had spotted on that penny. My heart sank. I ran back to my coin jar, digging through like a madman. But, yep, you guessed it, I must have spent it without realizing. It could have been worth thousands, maybe even tens of thousands. Gone. Probably sitting in some vending machine somewhere, paying for a bag of chips. Always check your change. You never know when you're holding something truly valuable. Now, let's talk money. How does a single penny go from being worth 1 cent to a jaw-dropping $2 million? Rare error coins are like fine art to collectors. The rarer they are, the more people are willing to pay. And when big collectors compete for a coin at auction, the price skyrockets. The last time one of these 2018 D-error pennies surfaced, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Experts believe that if another one is found in top condition, it could easily sell for another record-breaking amount. There could be more out there, and one of them could be sitting in your pocket right now. First, never underestimate a penny. Second, always check your coins. You never know when you might be holding a fortune. And third, if you ever find one of these rare error pennies, do not spend it on a soda. Now, here's what I want you to do. Go grab your change jar, your wallet, or even that little pile of coins in your car's cup holder. Start looking. And if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. And hey, if you love learning about hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'm always dropping new videos on coins worth money and strategies to help you make the most of your collection. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next big find. All right, folks, imagine this. You're digging through your couch cushions, looking for some spare change to grab a coffee. You pull out a few pennies, maybe a nickel, and hold on, one of those pennies looks a little different. You shrug, toss it in your pocket, and move on with your day. But what if I told you that penny, yes, that plain old brown one, could be worth over $2 million? That's right. There is a 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that recently hit a jaw-dropping $2.1 million at auction. And guess what? It's still out there. Today, we're diving deep into this incredible coin, why it's worth so much, how to identify one, and most importantly, how you can cash in if you're lucky enough to have one hiding in your change jar. Grab your magnifying glass, shake out your piggy bank, and let's go hunting for treasure. The 1972 Lincoln penny. What's the big deal now? We've all seen Lincoln pennies before. They've been clinking around in our pockets since 1909, and let's be honest, we don't give them much thought. But the 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is a whole different beast. Most pennies from 1972 were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which typically doesn't put a mint mark on its coins. So at first glance, you might think, big whoop, I've got a ton of these. But hold your horses. This isn't just any ordinary Philly penny. The reason this particular 1972 penny is worth millions is because it has a major double-die obverse error. That's a fancy way of saying that during the minting process, the coin's design was accidentally stamped twice, slightly offset. The result? Abe Lincoln, the words Liberty and In God We Trust look like they have a shadow effect. And let me tell you, when collectors see that kind of error, their wallets start sweating. The US Mint usually does a great job of keeping coins looking uniform. But back in 1972, something went wrong. The dies used to strike these pennies got misaligned, and a bold doubling effect appeared. Now, most of the time, these errors are caught and destroyed before they ever leave the mint. But a handful, maybe a few dozen, slip through the cracks. And that, my friends, is how a 1-cent coin ended up being worth more than a brand new Ferrari. All right, so now that I've got you staring at every 1972 penny in your collection, here's what to look for. Strong doubling on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. The numbers 1972 should look doubled and offset if it has a D, Denver, or S, San Francisco. It's not the $1 million version. The doubling should be bold and clear if it's faint. It might be a lesser-known variety worth less now. Don't get discouraged if your penny isn't worth millions. Even lesser double-die varieties can still sell for hundreds or thousands. Okay, so why would someone pay over $2 million for a penny? Simple: rarity and demand. Coin collectors love unique, hard-to-find pieces, and the 1972 double-die penny is one of the most famous errors out there. It's not just a fluke. It's a well-documented mistake that serious collectors chase after. A pristine, high-grade version of this penny, graded MS 67 or higher, recently sold at auction for $2.1 million. Even lower-grade versions still fetch thousands. So, let me ask you this. Would you rather spend years grinding at work or find a penny that could set you up for life? I know which one I'd pick. My almost $1 million penny now. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a garage sale, rummaging through a box of old coins. I found a 1972 penny that had some funky-looking letters, and my heart almost stopped. I rushed home, pulled out my magnifying glass, and compared it to known examples online. Could this be the big one? The life changer? The call my boss ain't quit penny? Well, it wasn't. Turns out, it was a different variety of the 1972 penny. Not the big money double die, but still worth about $150. Did I retire on that? Nope. But hey, I turned 1 cent into $150, and that's not too shabby. Plus, it kept me hunting. Who knows? Maybe the next one I find will be the $2.1 million jackpot. Check your pennies, especially the 1972 no mint mark Lincoln cents. Look for strong doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust. Even if it's not the $2.1 million version, it could still be worth serious cash. You never know where treasure is hiding. So keep searching. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found an old coin that turned out to be worth way more than face value? Drop a comment below and tell me about it. And hey, if you love learning about coins worth money and want more strategies to turn pocket change into profit, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You never know, your next penny might just make you a millionaire. All right, folks, let me ask you something. Have you ever found a penny in your pocket and thought, just 1 cent, not worth my time? Well, what if I told you that one little penny, just like the one jingling around in your car cup holder, could be worth $2.2 million? Yeah, you heard that right. A single 1968 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has been confirmed to be worth a fortune. And before you start tearing up your couch cushions, let me tell you a little story. A few years back, I was at a flea market, digging through a box of random old coins. You know the ones, rusty, grimy, and probably handled by 100 different people over the decades. I pulled out a handful of pennies, gave them a quick look, and tossed them back. The guy next to me? He picks up a penny, squints at it, and starts grinning like he just found the last slice of pizza at a party. I asked him what he found, and he says, "This might be a rare one." I laughed and said, "Yeah, right. It's just a penny." A few months later, that same guy made headlines. Turns out, he found a rare no-mint mark penny from 1968, and it sold for millions. That could have been me. But nope, I had to be Mr. Nah, just a penny. So today, we're diving into how you can spot this insanely valuable coin and why this tiny mistake from the US Mint is now making collectors rich. All right, let's break this down. Normally, Lincoln pennies from 1968 were minted in 3 places: Philadelphia, which usually doesn't have a mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; San Francisco, marked with an S. But here's where things get interesting. In 1968, the San Francisco Mint accidentally produced a small number of pennies without their S mint mark. That means they look just like regular Philadelphia pennies, but they're actually a mistake. And when it comes to coin collecting, mistakes can be worth big bucks. Think of it like a baseball card with a printing error or a misprinted stamp. People love rare, one-of-kind items, and collectors will pay top dollar for them. How to identify a 1968 no-mint mark penny now? Before you go raiding your piggy bank, here's how to tell if you have one of these rare coins. Next, look right under the year. If there's a D or an S, sorry, that's not the jackpot. But if there's no mint mark at all, ding ding ding, you might have a winner. Last but not least, condition matters. A scratched up, beat up penny won't fetch top dollar, but a crisp, shiny one? That's where the big money is. Now, I know what you're thinking, but aren't all Philadelphia pennies missing a mint mark? Yes, they are. But here's the catch. If you find a 1968 no mint mark penny with proof-like qualities, it could be from the San Francisco Mint. And that's the gold mine we're after. All right, let's talk numbers. A regular 1968 penny? 1 cent. Maybe 2 cents if you're lucky. That a 1968 no mint mark proof penny? The record sale was over $2.20 million. That's a life-changing amount of money for a coin you could literally find in your spare change jar. Even if yours isn't in mint condition, it could still be worth thousands, depending on its grade. That if you find one of these in great condition, it's like hitting the lottery without even buying a ticket. Where to sell it and what to do if you find one now. If you do come across one of these rare pennies, don't just toss it on eBay for a few bucks. Get it authenticated. There are professional grading services like PCGS or NGC that can verify if it's legit. Check recent auction results. Heritage auctions, eBay, for serious collectors, and coin shows are great places to research prices that do not clean the coin. Collectors want them in their original state. If you play your cards right, this penny could be worth more than your car, your house, or maybe even your entire retirement fund. You have a 1968 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Maybe it's hiding in your old coin jar, sitting in your grandpa's collection, or waiting to be discovered in a flea market bin like the one I ignored. If I've learned anything, it's this. Never underestimate a penny. Now, before you go hunting through every couch cushion you own, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coin collecting secrets coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. And hey, if you find a rare penny, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. Who knows, you might just be the next millionaire. All right, picture this. You're sifting through your spare change, looking for coffee money, and you find a penny that could buy you a mansion, a sports car, and a lifetime supply of nachos. Sounds crazy, right? But hold on to your seats because today we're talking about the 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $2.30 million. Yep, you heard that right. Not 23 bucks, not 200, $2.3 million. And guess what? One could be hiding in your pocket, your piggy bank, or even under your couch cushions right now. Stick with me because I'm going to tell you exactly why this little copper coin is worth a fortune, what makes it special, and how you can find one yourself. And trust me, you don't want to miss this, because if you toss one of these in a Coinstar machine, you might just cry yourself to sleep. The story behind the 1976 no mint mark penny first. Let's set the stage. It's 1976, America is celebrating its bicentennial. Everyone's rocking bell-bottoms, disco is at its peak, and people are collecting bicentennial quarters like they're golden tickets. But meanwhile, at the US Mint, something weird happens. A small batch of Lincoln pennies is struck without a mint mark. Now, most 1976 pennies should have a little D for Denver or S for San Francisco underneath the date. But these? Nothing. Nada. Zilch. And here's where it gets interesting. These missing mint mark pennies weren't an accident. They were part of an experimental batch that somehow made it into circulation. Fast forward a few decades, and collectors started realizing just how rare these things were. Then, boom, one sells at auction for $2.3 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, it's just a penny. What makes it so special? Well, my friend, welcome to the wild world of coin collecting, where tiny details can mean big money. We're talking about a handful of these coins in existence. The rarer a coin is, the higher the value. Simple math. 1976 was a big deal for the US. It was the country's 200th birthday, and this coin is part of that history. Collectors love that kind of thing. The $1 million penny that sold was in pristine, uncirculated condition. If yours looks like it was run over by a lawnmower, it might not fetch quite as much. Okay, so how do you check if you have one of these golden ticket pennies? Grab your pennies. Go through that jar, your old change, and even that weird stash in your car's cup holder. Check under the date. If you see a D or an S, sorry, no jackpot for you. But if there's no mint mark, you might just have a winner. Examine the details. Sharp lettering, clean strike, no excessive wear. These things boost value. Get it authenticated. If you think you found one, take it to a professional coin grader or an auction house. A genuine 1976 no mint mark penny needs expert verification. Now, let me tell you about the time I almost had a life-changing coin moment. A few years back, I was helping my grandpa clean out his garage. He had jars filled with old pennies, some dating back to the 1940s. I start flipping through them, and suddenly, bam, A 1976 penny with no mint mark. My heart started racing. Could this be the one? I rushed inside, grabbed my magnifying glass like some kind of coin detective, and examined it from every angle. No mint mark, perfect shape. I was already picking out my dream car in my head. I took it to a coin expert. He takes one look, gives me this little smirk, and says, "Nice find, but it's just a regular Philly minted penny." Turns out, Philadelphia mint coins never had mint marks back then. I felt like I had just scratched off a lottery ticket and almost won, but didn't. Always verify before celebrating. But hey, at least now I know what to look for. And so do you. All right, folks, let's recap. The 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny is worth up to $2.3 million because it's rare, historic, and in high demand among collectors. If you want to find one, check your spare change, focus on that missing mint mark, and make sure it's in top condition. Get it authenticated. Because who knows, you might be sitting on a coin worth more than your house. Now, if you enjoyed this and want more tips on spotting rare and valuable coins, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coin hunting secrets that could put some serious cash in your pocket. And hey, before you go, check your wallet. You never know what treasures you might be carrying. All right, folks, let me ask you a question. Have you ever dropped a penny and thought, not worth bending over for? Well, what if I told you that one little copper-colored penny from 1985 could be worth a whopping $2.4 million? Yeah, that's right. One single cent. More valuable than a mansion, a Ferrari, and probably your entire retirement fund combined. Now, before you start shaking out your couch cushions and raiding your piggy bank, let me tell you the full story. Today, we're talking about the 1985 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that's turning everyday people into millionaires, if they're lucky enough to find one. I actually had a close call with this one. A few years back, I was going through some pocket change, completely clueless, tossing pennies into a jar like they were worthless. Little did I know, one of those pennies could have been the jackpot. But did I check? Nope. Instead, I used it at a vending machine for a bag of chips that, frankly, wasn't even that good. So let's make sure you don't make the same mistake I did. So, what makes the 1985 D penny so special? After all, there are billions of pennies out there, right? Well, let's break it down. The D on the penny means it was minted in Denver. In 1985, the Denver Mint produced over 5 billion pennies. But here's the kicker, not all of them were created equal. The one we're talking about is a rare error coin, and error coins are like the golden ticket of the coin world. Some have minor flaws, while others have mistakes so big that collectors are willing to pay crazy money to own them. This particular 1985 D penny is so valuable because it was accidentally struck on a solid copper planchet instead of the standard zinc-coated one. See, by 1982, the U.S. Mint had switched from solid copper pennies to copper-plated zinc to cut costs. But somehow, a few old copper planchets were still floating around in 1985, and one of them ended up in the Denver Mint's presses. An old school, all-copper penny was born in a time when it wasn't supposed to exist. Now, here's the crazy part. Since this error is so rare, only one confirmed example has been found so far. That's why it's worth so much. In fact, in a recent auction, one lucky collector cashed in for $2.4 million just for spotting this tiny mistake. Talk about finding treasure in your spare change. All right, so how do you know if you have one of these rare beauties? Simple checks can make you rich. Check the date and mint mark. Look for 1985 with a small D underneath Lincoln's portrait. No D? Sorry, not the one. Regular 1985 D pennies weigh 2.5 grams because they're mostly zinc. But the rare copper error coin weighs 3.1 grams. That extra weight is your golden ticket. A regular penny with zinc has a slightly different reaction to a magnet than a solid copper one. It's a quick way to test if you're onto something special. If you've got a 1985 D penny that feels heavier, take it to a professional coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate it and tell you if you're about to become a millionaire. Now, let me tell you about my buddy Joe. Joe's not a coin collector. He's the type of guy who finds a penny on the ground, flips it over, and if it's tails, he just kicks it aside. But one day, after hearing about rare pennies from me, he started paying more attention. He called me up all excited because he found a 1985 D penny that felt different. He even did the weight test on his kitchen scale. 3.1 grams. He thought he hit the jackpot. But when he took it to a coin shop, turns out it was just a dirty old penny that had been misread by the scale. Poor Joe. He went from millionaire dreams to pocket change in 30 minutes. But hey, at least he's checking now, right? Check your pennies. That little coin in your pocket could be worth millions, or it could just be worth 1 cent. Either way, you'll never know unless you take the time to look. If you want to keep up with the hottest rare coin finds, investment strategies, and ways to make real money from your pocket change, hit that subscribe button. I'll be bringing you more insider tips, crazy coin stories, and the latest market values, so you never miss out on another $2.4 million penny ever again. Now, go check your coins and let me know in the comments what you find. All right, folks, let me ask you something. Have you ever gone through your spare change and thought, man, what if one of these pennies is worth a fortune? Well, let me tell you, that thought might not be as crazy as it sounds. Today, we're diving into the 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a tiny little coin that could be worth a life-changing $2.5 million. Yes, you heard me right. A single penny, the kind you probably ignore when you see it on the ground, could be more valuable than your house, your car, and maybe even your entire retirement plan. I'll walk you through how this penny came to be, why it's worth so much, and how to check if you've got one. And, as always, I'll share a personal story about a time I almost let a valuable coin slip through my fingers. Trust me, you don't want to make the same mistake I did. So, grab your coin jar, a magnifying glass, and maybe a cup of coffee, because this is one penny hunt you won't want to miss. All right, let's start with the basics. Most pennies have a little letter under the date. A D means it was made in Denver, an S means San Francisco, and if there's no letter, it usually means Philadelphia. But here's where things get interesting. In 1986, there was a rare mistake. Some pennies were struck without any mint mark at all, and they weren't from Philadelphia. These were supposed to have a D or S, but somehow ended up with nothing at all. Why? That's the million-dollar, scratch that, $2.5 million question. Some believe it was a minting error, while others suspect it was a test strike that accidentally made it into circulation. Either way, it turned an ordinary penny into a jackpot for collectors. Now, before you start flipping over every penny you own, I've got to tell you, these are incredibly rare. So rare, in fact, that only one confirmed example has been found so far. That's right, just one. Think about it. Out of billions of pennies made in 1986, only one is known to exist without a mint mark. That means your chances of finding one are about the same as winning the lottery while being struck by lightning on the same day. But hey, someone has to win, right? This legendary penny was found by a collector who, unlike most people, actually took the time to check his spare change. He spotted something strange, no mint mark. Instead of tossing it back into circulation, he got it authenticated, and boom, $2.5 million richer. Can you imagine? You're digging in your car for some quarters to feed a parking meter, and instead, you find a penny that could buy you a mansion. That's the dream, my friends. The one that got away. Now, let me tell you about a time I almost had my own million-dollar coin moment, but blew it. Years ago, I was at a flea market, sifting through a bucket of old coins. There was this dusty old man selling them for pennies, literally pennies. I spotted a Lincoln cent that looked odd. No mint mark. My heart started racing. Was this it? The big one? The holy grail of pennies. But then, I hesitated. Instead of grabbing it, I figured, I'll come back later. Big mistake. When I finally worked up the courage to go back, the coin was gone. Sold. Probably for a couple of cents. To this day, I still wonder, was that the one? The $2.5 million penny? We'll never know. But I can tell you one thing. I never hesitate when I see an odd-looking coin anymore. So, how can you tell if you've got the 1986 no mint mark Lincoln penny? Check the date. Make sure it's 1986. No other year matters for this specific coin. Look for the mint mark. If there's no D or S under the date, you might have something special. Get it authenticated. If you think you found one, don't just throw it on eBay for $50. Take it to a professional coin grader. A few bucks spent on authentication could mean the difference between finding treasure and getting scammed. Right now, the only known 1986 no mint mark Lincoln penny sold for $2.5 million to a high-end collector. That means if you find another one, you could be looking at an even higher price. Coins like this tend to go up in value because collectors go crazy for unique, one-of-a-kind finds. So if you ever come across a 1986 penny with no mint mark, do not, I repeat, do not, spend it on a vending machine snack. That could be the most expensive bag of chips you'll ever buy. All right, Folks, that's the story of the 1986 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Who would have thought a tiny copper coin could be worth millions? Always check your change. That little habit could turn you into a millionaire. And if you're like me and you've ever let a rare coin slip through your fingers, well, let's just say we learn from our mistakes. Now, if you found this video helpful, or at least entertaining, hit that subscribe button for more coin collecting tips, tricks, and jaw-dropping stories about rare coins worth serious money. And if you're already digging through your penny jar, let me know in the comments. What's the most interesting coin you've ever found?